Basil Pascal was the senior elder. He was 78 years old, tall, with white hair, and a long grey beard. Even with the white hair and beard, he looked much younger than his age. Casey and Corina approached him the following Monday morning. He was excited to see the books, but he didn't believe them when they told him where they found them, especially when they told him they couldn't remember the exact location. As he thumbed through the nature book, he said, "Amazing. I have read about many of these animals in the archives, but never with this kind of detail. And wonderful pictures, so many species, so many pictures." Corina showed him the monkeys. When he saw them, they all laughed again at the similarity to human beings. Basil pointed to one and said, "That one looks like Hubert Longfellow." Neither Casey nor Corina dared to laugh when he said that. Basil asked, "Do you mind if I have these books copied?" Casey answered, "Sir, we're giving these to you. They are yours. We expected you would copy them and distribute them throughout the schools." Until this point, a child's education comprised math, reading, and technical writing. A young adult's finishing classes included technical studies and apprenticeships, depending on what field a child entered. Along with the new music program, these books would open more new programs at all grades. "Thank you. That's quite generous of you. These books will go a long way to answer many of our questions about the Earth and our history before we left. Are these the only books you found?" Corina answered, "Yes, but we hope to find more." "You plan to find more, eh? Are you not telling me something?" Casey answered, "Yes. No. We were just hoping to find more, is all. My first project involves the keeper layer, the path, and the forest. So, I'll be going to places that no one has gone to for ages. That's how we found these." Corina said, "I'll be joining him as a guide, since my father is a keeper, and I live up there." "Well, good. You can join that project as your own, with Casey's permission, of course. I suspect the two of you have no idea how important these books are." Corina and Casey looked at each other as if both wanted to come clean about where they actually found the books, but because they had already agreed not to do so, they remained quiet. Before they left his office, he called in all the other ancients to show them the books. Over the next 2 quarters, the news of the books spread throughout the whole craft. Everyone was talking about them. People were going to the surface to see if they could find more books, including Eric and Jake. Most of them didn't last long because they could not acclimate to the sunlight. One morning, Eric and Jake approached Casey, and Eric asked, "Do you want to go up top with us? We're going to see if we can find another chest of books. There might be copies of the old manuals destroyed in the fire. Wouldn't it be awesome to find some of those?" "Guys, I'm not going book hunting, but you're always welcome to come with me when I go. You know, I've been on a quest to hike the whole outside of the wheel. You are welcome to come, but right now I'm busy with my studies at the library. Maybe next week we can go up top swimming." Jake answered, "I like the pools in the athletic compartments better than the lakes. Besides, Annika doesn't like it on top. And I've been spending all my time with her these days. Right now, she's visiting her mother, and I'd like to go search for books. Anyway, let's see what next week looks like." Eric agreed with Jake and persisted in talking Casey into going with them. Casey explained he was not interested in doing so, and he was already spending his time studying the ones he already found. He wished them good luck, although it left him sad. They were drifting apart as friends. He would have gone with them to keep their friendship alive, but he knew they were making a useless trek. He was on his way to study, and Corina was waiting for him. This was the first time they planned to study together. She was already sitting at one table when he got to the library. She was turning pages of the large, thick nature book. Once he sat down, she said, "I didn't notice until a few minutes ago. The description on the back says this is volume 1, A through M. That means there are other volumes?" "Oh. There were 9 other books about the natural world on Earth. I bet they include the other volumes." She pointed out the page she was looking at. "Wow, that's ugly. What is it?" "It's a beetle. It's part of what's called the insect family. There used to be billions of insects in the insect family on the Earth. I have not seen one insect on wheel. That's sad. For the next 2 hours, they went through all the different insects. Corrina, imagine how big and wonderful the Earth must have been with the different animals and insects. I wonder if you can keep them as pets? You know, like cats. Cats were the only domestic animal on the Ark, and there were only a few dozen on board. No sooner did he say so when Corrina shouted, "Casey! Those are the animals." "What animals?" "The animals Handel and I chased. They're called canines or dogs. The ones we saw are called hounds," she said, pointing to their picture. "You saw these animals?" "Yes." "How is that possible? Are you sure?" "I'm sure. We need to go find them. Look. The book says they're man's best friend." Casey laughed. "Do they talk?" "I don't know, but we need to go find them. I'm certain they're still around the keep. 2 days ago, in the middle of the night, we heard them whistling in the distance. They make an eerie sound. I've never heard anything like it before. How is it possible they exist? I don't remember hearing anything about them before." "Never. It's not like the wheel is so big someone wouldn't have discovered them by now." Casey paused. "Corrina?" "What?" "Remember the container with all of those keys?" "Yeah, what about them?" "They must unlock something. Since we got back, I can't take my mind off the possibilities. I never gave them much thought. Perhaps, you're right. What we've found is probably bigger than we imagined. Do you want to go get them? Handel could join us. I know he's cleaning the barn, but should finish in about an hour. We can search again for the dogs too." "Sure, we can look for the dogs too, and it would be unfair not to include him. Handel should have blue eyes. Your brother, for a keeper, is extremely smart. He's wise, and I agree, he should have been an ancient." They found Handel in the barn. He had just finished cleaning when they found him. Corrina said, "Handel, we're going back to the cliffs. We hope to find the dogs on the way. Do you want to go with us?" "Dogs? What are dogs?" "That's what they call those animals. We found them in the book. Do you want to go with us, or not?" "Sure. I'd like to go." The 3 passed 8 people on their way to the cliffs. Handel mentioned he hasn't seen so many people on top in one day all of his life. At least 4 of them were having a hard time seeing in the light and complaining about it. Handel and Corrina laughed at them and then stared at Casey. Handel asked, "How is it you don't seem to have a problem with the light?" "I come to the top so often I'm used to it, although it takes a little while for my eyes to acclimate." When they got to the door, there were scratches and chisel marks all along its edges. Corrina said, "This is not good. If someone opens this and finds all the books, the ancients will know we lied to them. That will not go over well." Casey answered, "I'll go and confess to Basil when we get back. Right now, let's go find out what those keys are for." The box of keys weighed over 20 pounds. Casey held each key to the light in the hall. There were several kinds of keys, all different from one another. At the bottom of the box was a long silver key with 2 prongs. Casey said, "This is a strange key. It's the only one of its kind in the box. It must be to something important." Just as he said that, the 2 dogs appeared at the entrance on the backside of the hall, growling. None of the 3 knew what a growl was, but understood it was not good. So, they moved back against one of the side walls. The dogs turned and ran back through the door. They stood in place silently for a couple minutes, gawking at the door as if the dogs might return. Corrina said, "What do you think? Should we go through?" Handel answered, "Yes, we should." Casey also answered, "Yes. Let's go." They went through the door. Handel turned around and dashed back into the hall of books to grab the box of keys. He came back through the door just before it closed. Casey was holding the strange key in his hand and almost put it back in the box. Instead, he looked at it, bent down, and struck the floor. The door slid open afterward. I guess that means this key goes to this door. He put it in his pocket. There was just enough light to see. As their eyes adjusted, Corina shouted, "What's that?" Above them was a big, clear, almost invisible field. It was the same size as the sky on the other side of the walls, but there was no sun in the middle. Casey said, "That looks like the space hologram in my room. I think we're looking into space." A dim natural light was coming from a big bluish planet outside the field. They knew what a planet was, and there was one right above them. They could see the whole planet and a great light behind it. Casey said, "Do you know what this means?" Handel answered, "What?" "It means we have arrived at our destination, and nobody knows it other than us." Corina said, "We need to go right now and tell the ancients." Handel interrupted, "Hold on, sis. I want to look around before we go." He lifted his head and stared at the planet. "I wonder how we're supposed to get from here to the—" Casey answered, "I'm sure the elders could figure that out." "Probably, but I want to have a look around before we go back to tell them. Can we do that, please?" Corina answered, "Okay, okay. Let's have a look around." Unknown to everyone on board, Wheel had two sides. Both appeared to be of equal size, except the backside didn't have blue skies or a sun. Handel said, "Look at all the tubes coming up from the floor. They look like they end at the glass dome above. It looks like several of them are full of vehicles. I bet the keys are for the crafts. I bet that's how we get from here to the planet." The floor was littered with staircases leading to walkways and platforms. There were thousands of them, with hundreds of thousands of tubes leading from those walkways to the outer glass. The glass was actually a force field that only looked like glass. Casey said, "I recall all the stories they told us since we were children, the ones about our destination. How the Earth sent us out to live on wonderful new planets, and what we would do when we got there. No one even knows we're already here. I bet we're in orbit around this planet. Man. Why didn't anyone know it?" Handel said, "Some of the tubes are empty. Do you suppose that means people already left the wheel?" Corina said, "I doubt it. We would have heard about it." Before she finished speaking, Handel shouted, "Look, on the wall." While Corina was talking, he walked over to the wall, where he saw another hatch. The wall next to the hatch contained charts and marker boards. "Come here, you two. Look at this." The wall also included drawings of the wheel. Below the picture was writing, explaining its design, purpose, and intended destination. Next to the blueprints was a metal box with a small panel of lit numbers. On the plaque above it was writing that said number of years traveling, and right below it was years at destination. Corina asked, "I wonder what those numbers mean?" She read them out loud, 87 and 2906. Handel answered, "I suspect that according to the writing above the one number, it should have taken us 87 years to get here, and I believe the second number indicates how long we have been here. That means we arrived here over 2900 years ago, and we've been orbiting this planet ever since." Corina followed the wall 20 feet to the right and said, "Come see this." These writings and pictures include all the different tubes and their purpose. The big ones with the crafts in them are for exploration groups to travel to the planet, and the smaller ones are for transporting all the plant and animal life. Look, this is why all those tubes are empty. It says the craft automatically sent them to the planet once we arrived. It says so right here. She directed their attention to the writing. Then she pointed at a small area where the title said, "The Ancients' Responsibility." It took them several minutes to read and finish. Casey's face turned pale and then he said, "This is mind-blowing. The 12 ancients were the only ones who were supposed to know about this side of the wheel. The builders were afraid if the rest of the population knew about it, the trip would end in disaster. I bet all of this information was lost when the first ancients died in the fire. Apparently, the fire happened before they could pass that knowledge on to the historians. We're the first ones to know about this since their death. We shouldn't tell anyone else about what we found, only the elders." The builders covered the walls with information, including the written word and schematics. One plaque said that it was all written so the average person could understand and exit the ship with little problem, just in case something happened to the ancients. Corina said again, "Let's go tell the elders. This is just too big not to. We should go right now and tell them." Handel said, "I'm not ready. Let's look around for a while longer. This is just too fascinating to leave yet. Does anyone know where the door is we came through? What about the dogs?" They knew what direction the door was, but didn't pay attention to how far they had come. Casey said, "If we go back the way we came, we will find it. We can look for the dogs another time." Handel, "Where did you put the keys?" "I left them back at the door." "You have the key to open the door to get back, right?" "Yes." Casey pulled the key from his back pocket and struck the wall with it. Once he did, they heard several doors sliding open. They looked at each other and ran to the closest sound. It was another hatch that opened into another section of the Hall of Books. Corina selected 2 books and looked at them. "These are more books about the history of the Earth. We need to tell the rest of the ancients. This is making me sick to my stomach, and until we tell them, I won't feel any better. Let's go." Handel answered, "I would really like to stay for a while longer, but you're probably right. I don't have the attachment nor responsibility to the elders that you two have, and we can always come back afterwards." Casey said, "How big of you, Handel?" "Shut up. Let's go." They made their way back to the other side, bringing the 2 books Corina selected to show the ancients as proof of they found.